G'day legends, Blake here with another video, and today I'm going to give you my top 10 favourite fish for beginners. So whether you're about to pick up your first fish tank and you're not quite sure what to put in it, or if you've been keeping fish for a while and you're just looking for some new ideas, then this video is going to be the one for you. And to start off with, we're going to go with these fish right here behind me, swordtails. Also include platies in that, because I think that they're really hardy, really colourful, and a fantastic option for newcomers to the hobby. As well as being bulletproof, they also showcase, in my opinion, the very best thing about the aquarium hobby, and that is watching fish become more fish. Now these guys are live bearers, both swordtails and platies are live bearers, so they're going to give birth to live baby fry, which is going to make them super easy to watch raise up, and you don't really have to do much at all. Just make sure that there's plenty of coverage in the tank. It can be live plants like this, which I would recommend because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. But if it's got to be fake plants in the beginning, or if it's going to be, you know, even bits of acrylic yarn or whatever, so long as there's areas for those babies to escape to, then you'll find in no time the population is going to go up, 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 and it's just going to be super fun to watch. A lot of people I do find get a bit stressed out when talking about guppies and other live bearers. They think that overnight there's going to be a billion fish in the tank, and because it's going to be overstocked, the tank's going to crash. I don't really find it to happen like that. You'll find that things kind of find their own balance, and you won't, unless you got a really small tank, you won't find those issues happen, and especially not overnight. So platies and swordtails tick a lot of boxes, I think, for the beginner. They're super colorful, they're a decent size, they show good activity swimming around the midwater. They eat anything at all that you throw at them, so they're really effortless, and you can just sit back and enjoy. So for those reasons, I think platies and swordtails make a great option to get started with this video. Conveniently, this tank has two of our next options as well, in that we have these guys here, ruby barbs, and we have orange fin danios. Now I would recommend, as a potential cheaper option, although these are both fine, tiger barbs or rosy barbs is a great option for beginners. Now these guys are going to be a bit more boisterous and a bit more nippy, but if you keep them in a group by themselves, like a group of 10 or more, then that can show some great color, some great activity, and you'll definitely not have a fish that's going to shy away and hide in the background, which I think is important when starting out in the hobby. Again, they'll eat absolutely anything, and they get to be a decent size. So I think that barbs in particular, tiger barbs or rosy barbs, make great options for beginners. Now in the topic of danios, zebra danios or leopard danios or even pearl danios are again really super affordable, and they eliminate the need for a heater for most places in the world, unless you live like in Antarctica or something. But as long as you live somewhere temperate, now danios can easily be kept without a heater. Again, heaps of color and pattern varieties available, showing good activity and speed through the water, but definitely keep a lid on an aquarium with danios in it, because that torpedo-shaped body can find itself sailing straight out the top of the tank. Now for number 4 on the list, I wanted to include a cichlid, and I think it's really hard to go past these Neolamprologus multifasciatus, commonly referred to as shell dwellers. And that's because they show some really unique behavior in that they live and breed within these shells. These shells are escargot shells that are typically used in restaurants, but there's a whole bunch of different shells that you could experiment with, and they'll show really awesome interaction with their environment. So you'll see them fill in some shells with sand that they want to block up. They'll move sand around, so you'll have all sorts of like hills and pits like this. And they might not have flashy colors like some of the other fish on the list, although their eyes are really nice and bright blue, but they'll show probably the best behavior on the list. Again, super hardy, they'll regularly eat everything. You'll see babies pop up, and just overall, I think they're really something that are not often recommended to beginners, but should be. There's no reason why not. You might need to adjust your water to Tanganyika and pH. For the most part, it's really easy to do, and so long as you throw in some limestone-based rock, it'll get you most of the way there to a stable water parameters with that extra hardness. So multi is definitely, I think, beginner friendly, and if you're looking for something that's a little bit different to the usual Tetras and so forth, make a great option. They also pair quite well with rock dwellers like these Julitochromis here, although rock dwellers, as the name suggests, they don't have the same interaction with shells. They'll more hang up on rocks, but if you do want to add in some extra patterns and colors, then you can also definitely add rock dwellers in with your shell dwellers like I have here. Now, when starting out, I think it's important to consider fish that are going to be forgiving on the water parameters, and the next three that I'm going to speak of are definitely that. So it makes sense to start off with an anabentoid such as the betta or the Siamese fighting fish. Now, anabentoid means that they have basically an organ which they can draw breath from the surface. So of course, if they're not going to have to breathe through the water, then they're going to be a lot more forgiving with what is in that water. That doesn't mean that you can keep them in a teacup and not worry about the water at all, but what it means is you'll just have a little bit of extra time to become aware of the things to look out for and adjust your water change schedule or maintenance schedule accordingly. As well as that, it can allow for some overfeeding and things like that, which is super common when starting off in the hobby. Bettas come in heaps of different colors and fin shapes. I'd recommend opting for a shorter fin betta though, because they're just simply going to be less prone to things like fin rot and bacterial infections, which can be quite common with bettas. And short fin bettas will also be a lot more tolerant of levels of flow, because typically these fish want very, very still water. Now, if I'm recommending bettas, I'm of course going to recommend their cousins in the Dwarf Gigas. Now, they're a bit more limited in their color and fin shapes, but they're also going to be very, very hardy. Now, they show some really cool activity as well. Similar to bettas, they're going to blow bubble nests, so you'll just see a clump of bubbles in the top of the aquarium at times, and that means that your fish are really nice and happy. But other than that, they're kind of a lot more peaceful. You can keep a few of them together and all those sorts of things, and they have really interesting feelers that they're going to poke around with and all those sorts of things. I'd avoid the larger gouramis like your gold gouramis and opaline gouramis and things like that. But if you keep to sort of powder blue gouramis, flame gouramis and things like that, then you're going to be really well set up, and you'll find yourself to have a nice little colorful addition that's going to be very tolerant of a lot of water parameters. And the last fish that is in this tank, which does draw water from the surface, although it doesn't have the anabentoid organ that the other two do, is Corydoras. Corydoras are a fantastic catfish, show plenty of activity and kind of scoot around the bottom of the aquarium. They'll also help to fill out the aquarium as well if you do want to add in a top dweller and a bottom dweller, so those can be good. Corydoras come in a heap of different colors and patterns and things like that. I'd recommend maybe panda cories for a good starter, bronze cories, pepper cories if you can. They're pretty safe bets, although you can get into some really, really expensive and unique cories if you so choose to. But these guys will swim up to the top of the aquarium occasionally to draw water and regulate their swim bladder. Again, they're going to take all sorts of food and clean up a lot of debris, or at least mix it up into the water column so that your filter can collect it, especially if you've got lower flow, so that sometimes the debris can get stuck down the bottom and not actually make it into your filter. So cories can be great for that, but overall they're just a really cool fish and show some great activity, so that's why I'd recommend them to beginners. Now, in terms of tetras, where most people start, myself included, is with the neon tetra. But what I think makes an even better option is actually rummy nose tetras. And that's because, like most tetras, they're going to be a great schooler and show some good activity. And I like their patterns in general, especially their sort of flag tail. But that's why I recommend them for beginners, is because if their face is really nice, vibrant, deep red, then you're ticking all of the boxes, you're kicking goals. However, if you start to notice their face sort of fade out and not be as colorful as it was before, then you might need to look into your water parameters, adjust something accordingly, do a little bit more maintenance, feed a little bit less or whatnot. So for beginners starting out, I think they can be a really good sort of canary in the mind fish, because although they are a great fish in their own right, they also have that cool ability to show you that something might not be right in your aquarium. Another option for people looking for cichlids that do actually want some color is Kenzas. Kenzas are awesome. They're also from Africa, but they come from neutral waters, so you might not have to adjust your water chemistry to suit them. They show great parenting activity. They get to quite a decent size really, so you're gonna wanna keep them in a 2-foot aquarium or more, a pair that is. They will show some parenting skills, so that's really cool to watch. And they're gonna eat absolutely anything that you throw at them. So if you are looking for something a bit bigger, Kenzas could definitely be the go. And I've seen plenty of beginners have a lot of success with cribs. There's also some really different cribs that you could get into if you want to expand further down the line. Things like Nigerian Reds, I think Taeniatus, there's heaps of options if you want to go down that rabbit hole. So cribs, great starter fish for people looking for something maybe with a bit more attitude. And the last one I'm going to recommend might be a bit controversial, but at the end of this, I'll link a video that will go fully in depth on how to do it. But if you are able to find some locally sourced cherry shrimp, and if you're able to set up a tank and give it plenty of time, which I understand can be really difficult if it's your first aquarium and you just want to rip into the hobby and just start keeping things. If you are able to do things like that and have an established tank, then cherry shrimp can be really great, especially if your tank is a bit on the smaller side and not really well suited to keeping fish in. Then shrimp are gonna show that parenting behavior. You'll see them sort of jumble the eggs up in their swimmerettes, and you can get every color of the rainbow if you like. I'd of course recommend cherry shrimp, as in Neocaridinus, because they're just simply gonna be a lot more hardy and a better one to start off with than any other of the Caridina shrimp, or the more rare shrimp, cardinal shrimp and so forth. But again, if you're looking for something really quirky, shrimp tanks I think can be done right for beginners if you follow the instructions. Maybe I'll put the video right there now so you can click on that, because we're done. That is my top 10 beginner fish. If you think I've forgotten one, drop it down in the comments below. If you like the video, it always helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe and all that fun stuff. Check out that video or any of my other videos and I'll appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.